I'm going to start with an anecdote that I've heard from various people and here and there in bits and pieces. A student is working with an IEC or a college essay coach on their personal essay. They get to the fifth draft. They're going back and forth. They get to the sixth draft. They get to the seventh draft. They get to the eighth draft. The essay is not exactly getting better. It's not exactly getting worse either. It's actually a little difficult to put your finger on what's happening with the essay. The sentences are being edited. The paragraphs are moving around. The prose is more polished. The student has tried a few different openings. She's moved some of the self-reflection, self-discovery material to the front. She's emphasized the turn. The landing is clean. But at the same time, something is getting lost. By the ninth draft, the IEC decides to stop her. The essay doesn't sound like her anymore. It's lost her authentic voice. The prose is clean, the sentences are polished, but they don't sound like sentences that were written by an 11th grader. They're not written in her voice. Was the student using ChatGPT between sessions? Let's say that she didn't let the AI write her paper for her. Let's say that she used it on occasion to get some feedback on her sentences and to help her organize her ideas. Let's say that on occasions she took the AI's advice. The story is fictional, but I think it's probably a more common situation than we would like to admit, especially for those of us who work with high-stakes student writing in 2026. The question of what to do about AI and student writing is everywhere, but there are not many convincing answers or solutions to the problem. I built the platform that I'm going to show you today because I saw the question coming from inside the college writing classroom. I built Profsy because I could tell that a new technology was coming for student writing and that it would be a problem, a question, an issue to be solved. And I believe that student writing is worth defending and that writing still matters. So for the next 40 or so minutes, I'll walk you through the 6-stage coaching framework that I've been teaching for 10 years. I'll show you how it fits into Profsy, and I'll explain how IECs, education counselors, and college essay coaches can build Profsy into their practice, get access, and share with the families they work with. I'm Jeff Peer. I have a PhD in comparative literature. I taught college writing at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, with the City University of New York, and with the Bard Prison Initiative. I also worked with the Harlem Children's Zone. My career as an educator began in college admissions in the nonprofit sphere, and I transitioned into higher education, where I taught writing and literature, and I got a training in rhetoric and composition studies. And you'll see that background in the platform I'm going to show you today, and in the way that my writing pedagogy fits into it. It's a pedagogy that has worked with high school students in Harlem, with suburban honors students, with first-generation college students, with men and women serving prison sentences. And it's based on 50 years of rhetoric and composition research and the work of people like Nancy Summers, Linda Flower and John Hayes, David Murray, Peter Elbow, and more. Okay, so let's begin by talking about the pedagogical framework that's behind Profsy. The frame and the thesis of this webinar is that the college essay is not broken. The way that we talk about it might be. The college essay is a thinking test administered through a writing prompt. Good coaching decisions flow from that. What's happened in the past 2 years is that the rise of AI has hidden the writing part. The grammar is cleaner. The sentences are more polished. Often, the essay that arrives on our desk is more polished than the student herself or himself is capable of doing on their own. The writing part stops telling us what's happening with the thinking part, which is why many of us are watching students revise themselves into worse essays. The thinking isn't getting better. The writing is just hiding what's happening on the thinking side. I don't think the fix is to get rid of AI entirely. The fix is to make the thinking visible again. That means better documentation of the writing process. Step by step, seeing all of the thoughts and work that went into the final product, so that we have at the end of the road more than just the finished essay. At the end of this webinar, I'm going to tell IECs how they can use Profsy and the teaching pedagogy behind it with their students, and how they'll get free access and how they can get a discount for any families who they want to work with using Profsy. But before that, let's get into the pedagogy. So the key principle on which Profsy is based, it's a key principle for me as a writing teacher, is that writing is a process, not a product. I've found in my personal experience as a teacher that when we emphasize the process, it opens so many aspects of writing up for our students. It takes away the pressure of turning in a final draft. It opens up room for creativity and experimentation, and it gives the students a chance to discover what the essay wants to become. So that's the key foundation. And the way that manifests in prophecy primarily is in the writing pathway, or a series of stages through which the writer and the user of prophecy passes, right? This is the 6-stage pathway. And we could talk about these 6 stages from the perspective of a writing teacher. So, where do we start? Usually, the student either doesn't have a topic, they have a topic they're not sure about, or they have the wrong topic and need to think through what they're going to write about. What is the teacher's move in this situation? At this stage, the teacher wants to give the student exercises to get them writing, thinking creatively, developing their ideas. Right? This is, in my terminology, the discovery stage, and the exercises that we use at this stage are probably familiar to all of you. They're brainstorming, free writing, idea mapping, questions and answers, seeing the topic from other perspectives. Once the student has generated some ideas in the discovery stage, then they move on to the structuring stage. Now, in this stage, the student has a lot of material, they have ideas, but they don't look like an essay yet. What is the teacher's move in this stage? In this stage, we need to help the student find a form for their ideas. Essentially, to teach them about the genres or structural conventions behind the form. We want, and there's a key principle of prophecy here as well, right? And that's that we believe that understanding beats memorization, or that genre awareness is better than following rules, right? So teaching students the conventions of a genre is not the same thing as giving them rules that they have to follow. But if they know that a personal essay structured around a transformational moment or a narrative arc, right, has certain conventional features, like a turn, and a turn by which I mean the moment of change, the transformational moment, right, and a landing, which looks forward to the effects of that change, right, then they can use those features creatively in their own original work. Right? So that's stage 2, structuring. Stage 3, once we have, before we get to stage 3, I should say that often students, while they're discovering, or while they're learning the structures and thinking through the material that they've created in the discovery stage, will decide, I'm not sure I'm writing a personal, a narrative arc / a transformative moment personal essay. There are lots of moments here, and they all demonstrate who I am. I think I want to go back to discovery and write about some of these other moments, and then maybe my essay will become a montage personal essay. Rather than focused on one single transformational moment, it will focus on multiple moments that reveal something about the writer. And then, so they'll go from structuring, stage 2, back to stage 1 to work in discovery and to continue generating ideas there. And that's great. I think writing is not just a process, it's a recursive process, which means it doesn't just go in a straight line. It goes in loops. You go backwards, you go forwards. You have to go backwards to go forwards sometimes, right? So once they've done that preliminary work in stages 1 and 2, right, and possibly they'll have to go to stage 3 and then go back again, right? But let's say we get to stage 3, which in the prophecy framework is drafting, right? That's where we'll begin the writing of the first draft of the essay. Right? Here, the teacher wants to help the student write without feeling like they have to produce a complete, perfect final draft before writing a first draft. They want you want the student to feel free and have their creative freedom, but at the same time, you need to give the student a structure, a framework to guide them, right? So that you're balancing those two priorities. Let's say we work in drafting for a long time and we get to what feels like a complete first draft. From there, we move into the next stage, which in prophecy is called revision, right? And here we need to get fresh eyes or a feedback or a new perspective to help us think through our draft. So one key principle from my pedagogy that is built into prophecy is that revision means re-seeing, right? It means seeing with new eyes, and that is not the same thing as editing the sentences of the essay. So prophecy splits that into 2 stages. The revision stage is not a editing stage in which the sentences of the essay are worked on. It focuses on the thinking part of the thinking exercise. And again, once we take those revision notes and ideas that we generate from seeing our first draft through new perspectives, we go back to the drafting stage to work on what that draft sounds like, to build it out with our new revision notes and revision ideas. And we might go back and forth between revision and drafting a number of times. Once we've done some loops there between revision and drafting, and we have a more developed draft, we may be ready to move on to the next stage in the prophecy framework. After revision, we get to polishing, right? And that's where we really work on the sentences of the essay, and we develop the prose to be as clean and artistic as we can, while also at the same time, and this is a priority, right, protecting the student's authentic voice. Right? The personal essay is not a writing test in the sense that let's see who can write the most adult-sounding, clean, perfect sentences. Right? We want to preserve the student's authentic voice so that the essay sounds like them. And that is built into the polishing stage. And then at the end of the polishing stage, we might feel like we're done with the essay, but the prophecy framework includes one further stage that comes next, and that's what I call the reflection stage. Now, those of us who have taught a lot of writing know that the self-reflection about the process, what we sometimes call the metacognitive work that goes into writing, is key for developing as writers. Right? That is often where we learn so much of what we learn during the writing process. What worked, what didn't work, why did we make the decisions that we made, what would we do again next time, what wouldn't we do again next time, right? And often while we're doing that, reflecting on our process, we'll see new things in the essay that we've been working on. So even though we've done so much revision and polishing work at this point, by reflecting from an even more distant perspective, we may discover new ways to improve the essay itself. We will certainly build skills that will then transfer to the next essay that we're going to work on, which may be part of the same application. It may be a supplemental essay in the same application, or it may be a scholarship essay or some other writing project down the line. So those are the 6 stages of the framework, and I would just finish that by saying there's nothing new in them. They're things that writing teachers will recognize. They're probably exercises that you've used either in part or in whole or in different forms, related forms. What's new about Profsy is that I've built them all into a single pathway where they flow from one to the next and back and forth, all in the same framework. The brainstorming flows right into the structuring, which flows right into the drafting, etc., etc. And there are a number of benefits to this, one of which for you all is you will no longer have to chase stray Google Docs and different assignments that have been shared with you that may be difficult to find once your practice grows and you have many students sharing many different documents with you. Okay, so let me show you a little bit of what Profsy actually looks like and how it works. Okay. So we're going to begin. First, the first thing we see here is the writing pathway, right, which builds the 6 stages into a series of steps that the student progresses through as they write. So we'll start at the top with the discovery stage. And we'll begin with, so the discovery stage includes 6 tools or exercises for developing your idea. You see idea map, you'll see there's a free writing tool, there's a brainstorming tool, but let's begin with the cubing tool, which is a tool that I'm partial to. And the idea here is that we explore the topic from 6 different perspectives as if we are examining all the sides of a cube. So how does it work? Okay. So I'll some example work here I'll include, and bear with me as I type. So let's say we're our student today is Maya, and let's say Maya is writing an essay or wants to write an essay about a soccer injury and the how it changed her perspective. It was the 3rd game of the season. I was playing center forward. A ball was loose in the box and I went for it. The first thing I heard was the snap. Oop, my ankle. Okay, describe the scene. Right. Next perspective. Compare before and after. Before, I thought I was invincible. After, I was never as confident in my body as before. Let's try another. Let's connect to feelings. I was ashamed of myself and embarrassed. The coach was scared, and I could hear my parents on the sidelines. And we move through these 6 sections. Let's analyze the stakes. I had built my personality around soccer. Was all I thought about, and the only place I saw my friends. Now, could I keep playing? Okay, so we can continue filling out these different sections, but let's, for the sake of time, move on. And instead of moving on just to the next perspective, let's say we feel like we're ready to start organizing. I'm going to continue to the structuring stage. Got a quick coaching check. Yes, I have a specific story or a specific moment. I have a sense of why it matters. I've gathered some details. Let's continue. Okay. So I'm moving on to structuring. Here, I have my essay outline. As I build my outline, everything that I've done in the discovery section shows up right here in the discovery sidebar. And I can drag it right in wherever it fits. Let's say I want to start with this detail. And I'll leave the context here. Now, the outline follows the model that we think suits the story best. So here I'll show you the personal statement narrative arc. That is the transformative moment model. And because of that, I have story beats that focus around not just the moment, the challenge, the response, right? But also a turn, right? The moment, the pivot moment, the moment of change, the new understanding, and the landing, right? How will this, what did this teach me about myself? Or what did this teach Maya about herself? And how did this shape who she is becoming? Now, let's say she's writing and she decides, I think I don't want to write about just one soccer injury. I want to write about multiple scenes and what they show about me. Maybe the injury was more about self-reflection or getting over something difficult, but there are other things in my life that have been similar. So I'm going to switch to the montage structure, and then instead of just one transformative moment, I'm going to include a series of vignettes that all show the same thing, right? Here I'm going to say we can have the first, we can have begin with the soccer injury, but now I'm going to add to the hint, right? I had to learn how how I had to learn how strong I was emotionally and how I could adapt. And then instead of just one transformative moment, I can write a series of vignettes that all connect together to the same thread before a synthesis and a different sort of landing. All right, but let's say we'll go back to our narrative arc, and let's say I'm going to write about the injury. First time I was ever injured as an athlete. I had been playing the tension, the challenge. I had been playing soccer all the time since I was 7. My response, I had to discover new things about myself, new interests. The reflection, I learned I really liked telling stories. Okay, let's just take this story arc, and then we can say the turn, let's say the pivot moment. While I was injured, a friend took me to a writing class, and I decided to try writing about what happened to me and to other athletes like me. New understanding, I realized I love telling stories. Okay, so we'll just take this. We could do more work here, but we'll move on to drafting to show you what drafting looks like. Okay. Okay. Now we're in the writing editor, and you will see that my outline, everything that I just wrote in the previous stage, appears here in the outline sidebar. So that while I'm writing my draft, I have my outline right in front of me. So let's say we the first thing let's go like this. The first sound I remember is the snap. My ankle. The second is silence. The stadium went quiet in a way that stadiums are not supposed to be quiet. Okay, so let's say the student is here and is feeling stuck. This is a point where I want to show you a little bit of how Profsy does incorporate AI. So there are a couple of points in which Profsy does incorporate AI. Let's say we're stuck. We can highlight the text here or anywhere in the studio, and we'll get at this highlight to query pop-out feature, where we can just click the I'm stuck here, or we can any of these other buttons, or we can type in an original question, right? And we will get coaching guidance, right? It sounds like you're creating a powerful moment with that sound. What do you feel or think when you hear that snap? Can you describe the scene around you or how your body reacted? Consider adding details. So essentially questions, something like Socratic questions to help guide the student in their writing process. You'll notice this is a AI that cannot write the text for the student, cannot generate any of the text for the student ever. And that's a key principle in Profsy. I don't believe that AI can replace teachers, and I don't believe that it can replace writers. And it's key that the AI never generates any text for the student at all. Okay, another tool that the student can use is they can ask their writing coach. So we have a little coach over here in the coaching sidebar. And let's say Maya is getting more desperate. Let's say she says, can you write an intro paragraph for this essay about my soccer injury and how it changed me. The coach can't write the introduction. I can't write the introduction for you, but I can help you think about it. A strong intro often starts with a hook to grab the reader's attention. Maybe a vivid description of the moment you got injured or a reflection on your feelings. Then you can introduce the main idea of how this experience changed you, etc. So again, we have AI interaction that can't write the text for you, but that responds with coaching questions. All right, so let's say that Maya is getting more and more desperate and she turns to ChatGPT. She's going to say, write me a draft of a college essay, 400 words, about my soccer injury and how I became a better student after. And as you know, probably, the ChatGPT can write an essay like this in a few seconds. How good the essay is another question. But let's say Maya is desperate and she decides she's going to copy and paste some of the essay, let's say the first 3 paragraphs of the essay. And she goes back to her essay in the drafting stage in Prophecy and tries to paste. But Prophecy does not allow that. So there's a layer of protection from AI that works to keep the writing authentic and to protect the student's voice. Okay, so I just want to show you briefly what happens after. I know we're running out of time here. After the drafting stage. So instead of typing out the essay here, we'll switch over to another tab where I have a more complete essay already pre-written and not pasted in, right? This was all typed out. So let's see what it looks like when we go from drafting to revision. We'll get feedback, another coaching check, right? And let's continue to the revision stage. We have a form to guide the feedback that we're getting, right? Again, this is all specific to the kind of essay that we're writing. So the form will change, just like everything in Prophecy will change. All of the coaching interactions, all of everything in the platform itself will change depending on what kind of essay the student is writing, be it a narrative arc personal essay, be it a montage personal essay, or be it a supplemental essay, a scholarship essay, what have you. Okay, so now we go into the revision stage and we are waiting for our feedback. And here you'll see that the feedback is oriented around 3 priorities. There's been research that has shown 2 to 3 priorities are much more effective for improving student writing than line-by-line editing. So we've got these specific priorities to consider, and let's say we write a note here like, I like this idea. Conceivably, I'll be writing something more specific about the idea. At this point, we go back to the drafting stage, right? And when we're in drafting, now we see, right, our revision notes here alongside our draft, so we can continue drafting with the revision notes alongside, and we can go back and forth between drafting and revision several times just to make progress. But so let's go beyond the revision stage to the polish stage. Nope. We have our timeline here as well that we can skip to. So here we'll go to the polish stage. And here we have a couple of choices on what kind of feedback we want to get to help us polish the prose of the essay. Research has been done showing that students often, perhaps some students only, do better with suggestions about areas to revise rather than detailed line-by-line edits. So we can either choose to highlight areas that need attention, or we can ask for detailed line-by-line editing feedback, right? And if we do guide me through polishing, we'll get a series of hints that can lead us towards a more specific critique. If we choose detailed suggestions, then we get a more thorough line-by-line editing process. But alongside it, a voice reflection tool which helps the writer to preserve their authentic voice, and that is key, right? Would we say these in conversation? I think is a good question to ask ourselves to gauge whether we're preserving our student voice. But one key concept that's baked into the studio is that there's always this is intentional button, so that I don't have to take the AI advice at any point. I can always say this is intentional, and then it disappears from my issues box. Okay, and then we're almost out of time, so I'm just going to go to the reflection stage to show you. Okay, we have a series of self-reflection tools, and then I go to complete essay, and I have my essay completion celebration, and immediately after that, right, I have a completion report prepared. Right alongside the downloads button, I can download my completion report, and let me show you briefly what that looks like. I'm going to switch to, hold on one moment, switch to completion report. Okay, here we are. So this is what the completion report looks like, right? And you'll see that it includes total time spent on the essay, final words, total words, coaching interactions, revision cycles, time spent by stage, tools used, the word count journey, how the essay grew, shrunk, grew, and a log, as well as all of the AI coaching interactions. That is a walkthrough of Profsy, how the platform works, and how it protects student writing and student voice from AI. So I think we're going to skip past the questions here, and I'm just going to, I just wanted to take a moment here at the end to talk a little bit more concretely about how you can build this into your platform. So first of all, for IECs, college essay coaches, and other education professionals, right? If you're working with students on their college essays, you can get a free partnership with Profsy. It will be entirely free for you, and you'll get access to the studio, to work with your students one-on-one. You can use it in your sessions with your students, or you can demo it with them, or you can use it for yourself to help build your process. I will give you I'll give you a code to get you free access, and I will give you another code, so 2 codes for you to give to any families who think would benefit from using Prophecy and who you would like to work with. So you'll have a consultant dashboard, a coach dashboard, right, which will show all of your students on it and all of their essays. And then you'll be able to click into their essays and you will see the Writing Studio exactly like what I showed you today. And you'll be able to see all of the work that the students are doing as they're writing their papers. You won't have to chase Google Docs. All of the work will be in one place, and you can see the students making progress. You can use it to structure your individual sessions with them. And then you'll give the students a personalized coupon code that they'll use. It will give them 20% discount on subscription prices, and when they use your personalized coupon code, then that's how they show up on your dashboard. So then they'll become your student, right, and you'll get access to all of their work. It'll be your access to their essays will be a view-only mode, so you won't be able to change anything, but you'll get a look at everything. And that's it. And the only other thing that I would ask is that you keep in touch with me, that you write me emails to let me know how it goes. You share tips, feedback, suggestions, anything at all. You get total access to Jeff, and if you have great ideas about how to improve Prophecy, I would love to hear them. Okay, so I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you so much for your time. Please get in touch with me. My email is founder@prophecy.com. It's founder@profsy.com, founder@prophecy.com, and send me an email, and we'll set up a 15-minute onboarding session, and we'll get you set up during that session with both your codes and access. Okay, thank you so much, and take care. I hope to see you soon.